Hey there, everybody, and welcome to OpenCV Live. I am your co-host with the co-most, the second banana who's second to none. I'm also your plus one and only. It's Mr. Nelson if you're nasty, but you, my dear friends, can call me Phil. I'm flying solo with the hosting gig today because Dr. Satya Malik is on assignment giving yet another talk at another conference. And speaking of conferences, that is what we're here to talk about today. We have count 'em, three guests from the upcoming Display Week conference. We're going to talk about that. It's an exciting event happening in San Jose, California, May 12th, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, I believe. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yeah, through the 16th on Friday too.
Oh, right. Okay. So 11th to the 16th. And one of our guests. So before we get started, though, I got to remind you of a few things we do on every single episode of this program. The first of which is a giveaway to you in the audience. Stick around later on in the episode, in about 45 minutes or so. I will be asking a trivia question based on today's episode. The very first person to answer that question correctly here in the Zoom chat at opencv.live will win the OpenCV University course of their choosing, or a free exhibit pass to Display Week. The exhibition hall at Display Week is going to be fantastic. OpenCV has a giant 30 by 30 foot pavilion. We're really excited about it. It is the biggest event we've personally ever done at OpenCV in 25 years. And we're really, really excited about this partnership with Display Week and SID, and we're so excited and anxious about this that I can barely even talk about it. But now is a great time to introduce our three guests, I think. We will start with the inestimable Jeff Yurek. Jeff, say hi to the good folks out there. Tell them about yourself.
Hi, folks. My name is Jeff Yurek. I'm the marketing chair for the Society for Information Display and for Display Week. And so I'm here to talk to you all about Display Week and share all the good stuff we do there. My day job, I'm a head of marketing at a company called Nanosys, and we make quantum dot materials. We're in the materials side of the display supply chain.
Yeah, I mean, if it's got quantum in it, you know it's got to be good, right? That's the
Got the cue, yeah,
how could it be
exactly.
bad? Uh-huh. I actually just saw RSA conferences here at Moscone Center in San Francisco, and I was talking with IBM about their quantum safety stuff, which was pretty interesting. Also on the show this week, we've got Eric. Eric, tell the people who you are.
I am Eric. I'm an industry analyst covering the display industry. I'm also a field musician. And you might have noticed the point of accent. So yes, I'm French. I didn't mean it, but I was born and grew up in Grenoble. So hi to your Grenoble audience.
Yeah, there's got to be at least a couple of them out there. This is, after all, a global community. And rounding out our murderer's row of three guests this week, we've got John. John, let them know who you are.
Hi, everyone. I'm John Phillips. I'm the director of product for Forvia, and within that group, I specialize in our software offerings.
Fantastic. I think, maybe the best way to start here, Jeff, is let's tell people what Display Week is.
Okay, do we jump into a little presentation on Display Week here?
Please do.
Let me fire it up. Okay. Can you see it? Okay.
Looks great.
Cool. So I love talking displays and Display Week. So excited to kind of jump in and give you guys a little overview on what Display Week and SID are all about. I'll try to be quick because I think we get a little more out of John and Eric, a little better feel for what you're going to get at Display Week from those guys since they're part of the great content at the show. I'll start with a little overview of what is the Society for Information Display, or SID. We've been around for a little while. We're founded in 1962 out of UCLA in Southern California here. Got about 7,000 members today in 25 chapters and 12 student branches around the world. So really global organization. And as it says here, our mission is to propagate electronic display and other visual information technologies from concept all the way to market and to really sustain a thriving industry for display technologies. And we're really the leading international society devoted to the advancement of electronic display and imaging technologies. We got a great photo here of our current president, John Kamissis, from the show last year. So what
It's
is
like
Display
whatever he
Week?
was saying was very serious.
It was very serious. It's probably the business meeting in the morning, and yeah, he's really, telling to go straight. Um, so Display Week is our annual trade show that we put on every year at Display Week. It's our biggest event, and it's really the world's largest technical symposium and exhibition for display technologies. You're going to find around 7,000 attendees there, truly global from 30 countries all around the world. I think really the best way to think about Display Week is as a kind of cross section of the entire $130 billion industry. So all the way from materials companies like mine that are making the materials that go into displays, all the way up to OEMs. Got folks like John here that have great solutions that bring all these technologies together to make better looking displays. Analysts like Eric that are giving us a perspective on what's going on in the market side. Really, if you're involved in displays at all, this is really the place to be. And in terms of like the content at the event, I think there's a lot of content at the Display Week, but there's two kind of broad tracks to think about. And one side is kind of a little bit more the academic side, and that's a 4-day technical symposium. So you're going to have leading scientists and researchers there sharing the latest work that they've done, groundbreaking innovations on displays, really detailed technical talks. Again, from materials to algorithmic improvements, AI, ML, micro LEDs, OLEDs, you name it, anything involved with display that's cutting edge. And the other side of it, and this is where you find me, is the exhibition. And this is a little bit more, I would say, the industry, the business side of Display Week. And I think that kind of academia plus industry is what Display Week is all about. And here you're going to see, just the most influential display demonstrations and technology companies. And this year, actually, we've got, I think, one of our biggest shows ever with over 200 companies exhibiting. And that exhibition part is really special for displays, I think, because we always say, in my company anyway, seeing is believing, right? And you can see a chart, you can see some data about a new display technology, but when you sort of go eyes on with what it looks like, it's something special, right? And so you really need both components for display technology. And so that's what we're all about. And if you look back at the history of Display Week, there's been several major firsts that you would have seen at Display Week if you've been coming to the show. First place you would have seen liquid crystal display technology. That's sort of now totally ubiquitous, right? Plasma display, OLED
never
display.
Heard of it.
Never heard of it, right? These are pretty niche topics, right? HDTV, HDR backlighting. There's another actually Canadian company, Brightside, came and demoed the first high brightness backlighting here at Display Week. Various touch technologies. Of course, my company showed quantum dot displays there in 2011 for the first time. So, what's it going to be this year? You sort of have to come and see for yourself and find out. But really, there's always something new at Display Week, and that's one of the things that's so exciting about it. In terms of some of the new content at the show this year, there's a few different things on the agenda. We'll just kind of quickly highlight here. Of course, we've got a great program with OpenCV, the computer vision and AI session. I think that's on Monday, and that's a full day of talks on the future of computer vision and AI. This is way outside of my wheelhouse personally, so I'm very interested to kind of go and learn a lot about this area. Some big names here too, with Alphabet and Tilt5 giving talks.
It's going to be a whole lot of fun at OSCCA, and also. Folks watching here, we have a special exclusive discount code for y'all, 30% off the price, the full price for the OSCCA conference, the OpenCV SID conference on computer vision and AI. I just posted that code in the chat there. It's OSCCA DW25. That's 30% off. It's $150 off the regular price. So go. If you were on the fence, we have got a deal for you. You can check the chat here if you're wherever you're watching. I just posted the code in there. Also, we'll put it up on screen later on in the episode. Go ahead, Jeff.
Nice. No, that's great. That's a great deal. Another one to highlight here is the Display the Future showcase. This I think will be a really interesting event, sort of a banquet dinner on Wednesday night. It'll be hosted by the legendary Larry Weber. If you don't know who that is, he's sort of the inventor of the plasma display. He's hosting a debate to find out what's the best image quality with the highest energy efficiency, micro LED, OLED, or LCD. He's going to have technologists from each come up and make the case and kind of moderate the debate between them. So that should be very, very interesting to see how that goes. I'm interested to see who sort of wins that debate. Another one is the CEO Forum. This will be on Wednesday morning. This will be a panel moderated by Ajit Nayanan from Meta. And he's going to have some top technology CEOs share some insights on AI materials development, which is a really hot topic, how these companies are navigating the tariffs, and also talk about some of the emerging innovations related to XR, which of course Ajit is a deep expert in as well. And of course, we've got the Exhibitors Forum, and this is a great place. It's live on the show floor. Actually, John's going to be speaking there, and so you get a good feel for the content you're going to get there, but kind of a fast-paced technical session where exhibitors get to share some of the great things that they're showing at their booth. And got a great keynote program. This will be kicking off on Tuesday morning. At 8:30, really excited to have Aparna Channapragada from Microsoft, Chief Product Officer of Microsoft. Her talk on From Prompts to Pixels, the future of AI, human AI interaction should be really, really fascinating. Keith Stryer, Senior VP of Global AI Markets from AMD, is going to share some AI insights. And we've got Frank Coe, the CEO and President of AUO. If you're not familiar with AUO, they're really a really important display manufacturer in the display industry, and he's going to give a talk on redefining displays, inspiring new possibilities. And I think in that talk we'll hear some really interesting things on micro LEDs, which are a really hot topic in displays. And so, very interested to see what Frank has to share on that topic.
Frank is also an outstanding sax player.
No way!
Yes,
Oh, wow.
you're
I love
asking.
it. It sounds like there might have to be like an impromptu jam session or something at Display Week. I have a little traveler guitar. I'll bring it with me.
Nice. There is for sure some kind of music display like Venn diagram that I don't totally understand, but there's a lot of us who are have some music background, and you find that out the more you talk to people. So
Oh yeah, definitely.
So we kind of wrap up here with a little run through the week each day. Not showing Sunday here, but we've got great short courses on Sunday, the 11th. Monday, there's going to be, of course, the Computer Vision and Imaging Conference, some great seminar talks as well. The main show really kicks off on Tuesday. Of course, we've got the keynote session, the exhibits open. I'll just highlight a couple things on each of these. A business conference at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, so a really exciting event. You'll hear there from analysts at Counterpoint Research, really sharing, the business and market side of the display industry. We'll have a very interesting panel on the tariffs from some companies who are going to share how they're navigating the tariffs, which are an important thing in our industry right now.
A hot topic, let me tell you.
Certainly a hot topic. The micro LED panel later that day, we're going to have some C-level executives from companies pushing micro LED forward. That should be very, very interesting as well. Wednesday, another packed day, business conference, more exhibit hall. We've got the CEO Forum, which will be, again, I mentioned with Ajit Nayanan leading it. The DIA luncheon is very cool. That's the Display Industry Awards luncheon. This is where we'll give out awards for the display of the year. And companies like Apple and BOE are going to receive awards here, so it should be very cool. Got a great speaker from UC Berkeley who's going to talk about perception and display, so that should be pretty neat as well. And of course, that Display the Future debate event in the evening. Thursday, we've got some more exhibition and symposium sessions, highlighting some talks here on OLEDs and micro LEDs. That should be very, very interesting on Thursday. And of course, the week wraps up with Friday. Lots more symposium, AI and ML, some great automotive talks, stretchable displays. It's such a display week kind of topic, right? Like it's
super excited
really
about stretchable displays. We went through a lot of Stretch Armstrongs when I was a kid. Fascinating stuff.
So amazing, look to the future of where displays could go. And there's going to be a cool little lunch on Friday as well with free lunch and prize drawings too. So they're going to have some giveaway and gift cards and things like that. So it's just kind of a broad overview of Display Week. It's my favorite week of the year. And again, if you're in displays, it's really the place to be. So I'll leave it there and pass it to the next guest, I guess.
Yeah, fantastic. Super excited for Display Week. This will be my first time. Yeah, Jeff, you can go ahead and unshare your screen there if you don't mind. Sweet. This will be my first time going to Display Week. I've gotten to know the Santa Clara Convention Center a little too well, and so it will be exciting to be in San Jose for a change. Looking
Yep,
forward to eating at some different restaurants for once. Um,
totally.
yeah.
Yeah, San
So
Pedro Square is great. There's a bunch of great stuff down there. So.
okay, like what's your go-to for San Jose cuisine? You got anything for us?
Ooh, off the top of my head, I don't know. There's a couple of good dive bars in the neighborhood. O'Flaherty's Pub is a good one.
Speaking
A
my
good trivia
language.
night on the Wednesday of Display Week, if
Okay.
you're interested in that. But
O'Flaherty's Pub, you say?
yeah,
All right, I'll
give them
probably
a
see
shout
y'all
out.
there then.
Mhm.
Yeah, also, thanks to everybody for making fun of me for dating myself by using the name Stretch Armstrong. Yes, I'm 42 years old. Thank you very much. Up next, I'm gonna remind all of you out there we are taking your questions during this show, and we will do our best to answer them as the late great Satoru Iwata would have said, directly. So please use the Zoom Q&A button at the bottom of the screen if you're watching us on Zoom, or if you're watching us on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, whatever. Just ask your question in the chat. I am monitoring those chats, and I will surface any interesting queries for our guests here today. Our trivia giveaway will be in 25 minutes, something like that. But let's continue onward. I think up next we've got John. Let's remind the people who you are, John, and let's see what you got for us.
Yeah, sure. So I'll just like to talk about our participation in Display Week. Let's see if I can share that there. And really, actually, this is like Phil. This is my first time at Display Week. Although other members of our team and our business groups within Forvia have exhibited there in the past, but I'm also looking forward to that as my first time to this show. So I'll just take a minute just to bring everyone up to speed if you are not familiar with Forvia, who we are, and then also talk about some of the really cool and exciting technologies that we'll be showing at the show. We have a large booth, although not as large as Phil's. I'm having a little bit of booth envy right now. Ours is only a 20 by 20. Nevertheless, we've got lots of space for some really cool and exciting demos. And we hope
Hey,
to
it's
bring people
John, it's not the size, it's how you use it.
it is. It really is how you use it. That's definitely the way to go. So,
Wasn't that
um,
an Eric Clapton song? It's in the way that you use it. I think so. It's in the way that you use
yeah,
it.
we're back to music, and that's good with me too. So just a brief overview of Forvia. So Forvia is one of the largest tier one automotive manufacturers. So we supply parts to about 90 different automotive OEMs in 40 countries. Roughly one in every two vehicles is equipped with some kind of Forvia device. So it's very prevalent, even though you may not know. Forvia is really the joining of two traditionally strong players within the automotive market. So you may be familiar with the name Faurecia, which has been in the automotive market for quite some time, and it joined with in a venture with Hella out of Germany. So a lot of the things you'll see could be for either, but now the joined group is referred to as Forvia. And really, even though this is an automotive focused company, especially within my group, we're looking at software solutions that expand outside of automotive. So you'll see a lot of these demos at our booth 1440 at SID Display Week in 2 weeks' time that are not even focusing on automotive displays. We're looking at solutions for more advertising, outdoor advertising, infotainment type displays. Things that we can take out of the automotive market, lessons learned, technologies developed for automotive, and bring those into other markets. So just back to Forvia here, everything from seating to lighting and interiors. What the industry calls the cockpit. So basically the front seat of the car, from the driver's side all the way to the passenger side. And of course, so I spend most of my time, or actually all my time, in the electronics domain, and then within the electronics domain specifically, I'm more focused on the software side, and that's a lot of where my time is spent. But when you arrive to our booth, and what I'll be talking about today is a lot of our display technologies as well. things and how they tie into the automotive market. There's a lot of changes in the automotive market. Not just with new technology, things that are getting less expensive, higher quality, more able to shrink down to smaller sizes, less power consumption, and so things are going into automotive markets, into your automobile at a much faster rate than they have been in the past. So we're looking at things that are displays, software, cameras for ADAS systems and e-mirror systems, which those of our viewers here who are outside North America will be familiar with e-mirrors. Inside North America, unfortunately, we don't get the pleasure of electronic side mirrors or rear view mirrors that are based on cameras, which are more prevalent in Europe and Asia. We haven't caught up in North America to that level of technology, but I'm confident we will soon. So let me just start off here, just looking at automotive. So one of the trends that we see in the market is that there's a lot of focus on cockpit experience, greater number of displays in the cockpit. So if you go down to your local dealership today and you look at the high-end vehicles, even the medium and lower-end vehicles, there's a lot more displays than there were 2, 5, 10 years ago, certainly. If you look at the cluster, the cluster where your speedometer is, your odometer and tachometer and so on, those used to be analog gauges, and now they're all replaced with displays. We typically have now a central display that sits in between the driver and the passenger and is used for different purposes. So for maps and HVAC control, temperature control, and radio. So those are all things that are accelerating. You're starting to see that. It used to be just the high-end vehicles that would have these. Because the cost of technology is dropping and the power consumption is dropping and miniaturization, that's going into basically all cars now. So and then we find, again, it's a little bit different in different regions of the world, but in China and elsewhere in Asia, people spend a lot of time in their cars, right? We spend a lot of time in our cars if it's an EV as well. We spend a lot of time sitting and charging, waiting for charging. So we have these displays in part to entertain us as we are waiting for our batteries to be charged, or as we're waiting for our next meeting. If we're traveling salespeople, as some of us are sometimes, we use those displays to do a variety of different things. But then what we also see is not everyone wants their car to look like the Starship Enterprise all the time. I mean, I might, but that's maybe a personal preference. So what we see and what you see on the screen here is things like hidden and kinematics displays. So things that displays where, yes, they're present and they're fully functional, but when they're not needed, they can be either retracted or disappear into the background, sort of thing. So on the right-hand side, you have what's called a hidden display, and so you're kind of looking at it and you're saying, John, this can't be hidden. I can see it. It's right there. But really, what it means for hidden display perspective is you've got a film or a coating or a special glass on top of it. So when the display is not in use, it blends into the background. So it looks like a normal wood paneling, let's just say, and it looks almost like a piece of wood that has the screen content, where it's your map or some kind of video game or something, on top of it. And so that's kind of one of the trends where you're trying to make a more natural, low tech almost feel of the car, but still have these fantastic displays that are in there. So that's one of the things that we see very strong demand for in some of our OEM partners. The other one that you see on the left side of the screen is kinematics display, which is kind of a fancy word for movable display. And this one, in this case, it rolls back in. So it's we talked about earlier, foldable displays, right? This is kind of one that retracts almost like a you pull down the blinds in your bedroom at night, sort of thing. It retracts up into the ceiling. This one retracts down, so again, you can have this at various heights, depending on what kind of mode you want to be in. But you can also then retract it fully and have it disappear, when it's not needed. So it's really, it's there when it's needed and not there when it's not needed. And so these are kind of neat technologies that are in the market today that we'll be showing at our booth. But also thinking about how especially this hidden display works. because you're putting the film and glass on top of the normal display, you're getting a very nice look to it, but it also has some effect on the perceived image quality of the display. So there's some effects on brightness and that sort of thing. And that's where some of our software comes into play, where we can boost the perceived brightness of the screen, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. Another trend we see is really going from what we call pillar to pillar, right? So from one end of the car to the other, the left side to the right side, with a full display, everything electronic from left to right, or right to left if you drive on the other side of the road. And so that can be very expensive depending on how many displays you need to have in there. One of the trends that we see is augmenting displays, high resolution displays, having a limited number of them, and filling in basically the in-between with lower res LED panels, right? And then we have some software solutions which then combine, basically have a blended effect. So you have the video that's on the high res panels looks like it almost bleeds out into the LED panel, and so those LCD or LED lights, sorry, can take their cue from what is actually on the screen, and in a way it augments the high resolution screens and gives you a little bit more surround effect, but for a lower cost, right? It's decreasing the overall cost of the solution because you don't have as much high resolution images. So this could be something again for OEMs that are trying to keep the cost down while still having a tremendous user experience when somebody steps into the car and they see the entire cockpit dashboard light up like that. And so I mentioned software as well, and so this is something that my group in Montreal works on primarily, where we try and augment the perceived image quality of the displays. So whether it's automotive displays or whether it's used for advertising or outdoor media, anything like that, the displays sometimes have some degradation in terms of the perceived quality when you have the sunlight coming in. Now, if you're in a convertible, let's say, the sun is beaming down on your display, it becomes harder to see, and that could be potentially a safety risk. If you are looking at an outdoor advertisement at a bus stop, and the sun is coming down on that advertisement, well, you can boost the brightness to make it more visible, but that's going to distort the colors somewhat. And so a lot of the big brands, your Coca-Cola and your Louis Vuitton and those guys, they kind of get a little bit upset about if you're changing the color palette, right? And so what we try and do with some of our software algorithms is to make sure that the display is matches as close as possible to what the graphic design intent was. Again, whether it's automotive or whether it's advertising. At night, you try and turn down if you're an automotive, especially, you turn down the brightness. But we want to make sure that we don't lose contrast at the same time, so we're able to give that a bit of a boost. We're able to reduce the number of LEDs on the backlight that are required through software mechanisms. So you can actually design the display with fewer backlight, which it itself also means a lower power consumption. It means reduced environmental impact. So when the display finally does reach its end of life, you don't have nearly as many LEDs to go and dispose of, and that just reduces the cost as well. So this is all more or less software things. From a display perspective, this is kind of what I was mentioning before, is that whether you have content that's been designed by a graphic designer, as in that top row, or a movie or video that you're watching as in that bottom row, the things that are the sun can wash out the content and make it a little bit more difficult to read. If you have, as we're starting to all get, we're getting older, so our eyes start to perceive content, contrast and color a little bit differently. That can make the content, not close to ideal when you view it as an 80-year-old, or it could be even younger. And then, obviously, the worst case is that you have eyes that are you're starting to see contrast and color a little bit less well than you did when you were younger, and the sun is coming in. So these are the challenges that all display manufacturers have to deal with when they make a display, and when the graphics are put up onto the display to deal with some of these challenges. And there's no real good way necessarily to address all of these things unless you're there's not always a clear answer to all of these things. So you're trying to address all of these at once.
And as a quick note, Blurry and Washed Out is the name of my first album.
I look forward to that dropping on iTunes later next month, I think.
Yes, you got it.
So, one of the things that we work on here is something we call smart dimming, and so it allows it's a software application, a software library that allows designers to reduce their use of backlight, but still maintain the brightness, the perceived brightness. If it's the display is in the sun, then we can artificially boost the brightness without increasing the backlight beyond its obviously 100% is the maximum you can get out of the backlight. But we can make it appear, let's say 130%. And then at night, you want to be able to turn down the backlight to make it easier on your eyes to see so you're not squinting. But you also don't want to lose, the contrast. So we make it, artificially or perceptually brighter, even though it's not actually brighter on your eyes. It just appears to be brighter. So our team in Montreal has really done a lot of work in understanding how humans perceive color and contrast and brightness. And we use that model to basically manipulate the luminance of each individual pixel to make sure that it's the right luminance for that display for that ambient lighting condition. And so that's again a software library that we have available for a variety of different platforms. And then, from a brand standards or advertising perspective, I'm not sure that the colors are really going to come through very well on these streaming platforms, but you'll see it very clearly when you come see our booth at SID Display Week. But again, when these advertising signs are exposed to bright light, they're outside the bus stop and the sun is coming in, the colors sometimes appear to be washed out. As an advertiser, you've paid good money for these advertising spaces and the graphic design. You've invested a lot of money in making sure your colors are up to par. And so some of our technology is being used in this type of an application as well to make sure that the colors come through properly, that the halos that sometimes we see with full array local dimming displays are minimized and eliminated, and that the contrast is high and nice and bright, as much as we can make it for the given display and the given ambient lighting condition. So we'll see this at our booth here, and then just we'll close off a little bit on some of the statistics. And so this is a paper out of a paper that we presented at a previous SID conference last year, and you can reach out to me if you want to a copy of that paper. But essentially using some of our software technology to eliminate some of the backlights, have not as many as you might otherwise think that you need, while still maintaining a very high dynamic contrast ratio. So not a contrast ratio where normally you measure contrast ratio with a checkerboard pattern, white and black, and that's a good metric, but it's not representative of content that you normally see. So we use a series of images that are just taken from everyday life. There's automotive clusters, there's some still images of movies and that sort of thing, and that way you can analyze how visible they are, how perceptually the quality of them before and after, and we can increase that simply by decreasing the number of LEDs. You still have a higher quality while at a lower power consumption. And then that's true even when you get to a high ambient light. So the difference isn't as great. We're not able to do magic, but it's even at the high ambient lighting setting. Again, if I have that California sun beaming down on your display, whether it's in your convertible or at the bus stop for advertising, still being able to maintain brand integrity in terms of the color scheme, make sure it's nice and bright, and if where possible, reduce the power. Especially from an advertising perspective, if it's a 75-inch display, that thing draws a lot of power, right? And think of California power costs, or really electricity costs anywhere, right? The more that you can drive out, 20, 30% out of those electricity costs, I mean, that's real dollars, right? Saving that.
Yeah, I don't know about y'all, but my electricity bill is definitely not going down.
Yeah, no, exactly. And we all have lots of devices in our house, and it goes up every month.
Yeah,
So.
I just bought one of the new 5060 Ti's from Nvidia. I'm worried about what the next PG&E bill is going to say.
Well, to go along with all your crypto mining and things like that, right? So I'm sure that.
No, let's be honest. I'm going to use it to play video games.
Oh, that's true. That's better. That's probably a better answer. So, so like I said, come see us at SID Display Week. Say hi. Say you saw me on the OpenCV Live show today. We're at booth 1440. You may see it in your guide as Phoresia Clarion, which is again one of the business units within our larger Forvia organization. So we'll be there. Like I said, smaller booth than Phil's, but it is how you use it. It's a 20 by 20 space, so we have lots of room for beautiful demos of things to see. Very exciting technologies, both automotive and non. One of my colleagues is going to be presenting a paper I think Jeff mentioned earlier about the symposium. So more technical symposium. We have a great research team here in Montreal that's done a lot of work on how to get the power reduced, how to make the best use of the human vision system to make things appear, higher quality, even though maybe it's not measurable by a computer. That we know that human beings, when we line 50 or 100 people up, they all agree that this is higher quality. So we're doing some work with OLED power savings, where reducing the power by a bunch, but not in any meaningful way reducing any of the quality. So he'll be giving that presentation on the Thursday there. And come see our hardware and software solutions, and I'd be glad to talk you through these and have one of our team members walk through the demonstrations with you. So thanks for everyone's.
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks so much, John. Can you give us, that's booth 1440, yeah?
Booth 1440 at the SID event. We'll be there from Tuesday to Thursday, which are the dates for the exhibition. Obviously, the content program goes from Monday to Friday, I think, as Jeff mentioned. But we'll be there from Tuesday to Thursday.
Fantastic. Let's get down to brass tacks here. Are you all going to have any cool swag at your booth?
Yeah, that remains to be seen. I think we're working that through. I think we'll have to show up and see, right? That'll be the incentive. Come by and let's have a chat.
See what the swag is. I can give you a little plug, John. I think I saw your demo at VDI in Detroit. I thought it was really compelling, and just it's fairly obvious, I think, for this audience. But I thought that your technology is a great example of sort of the eye and information display, right, and bringing hardware and software together and creating different experiences, and bringing the human perception side of it together with that as well. So really, really cool stuff, and great example of you can talk about the improved contrast ratio in the symposium, right, and then you got to go see it and really see like, oh wow, under high ambient light, this is a big difference, and I can see it and feel it.
Yeah, and we're going to be using a lot of electricity in that booth because we'll be powering our artificial lights and artificial sun to highlight some of these things, right? So we can't bring the sun indoors. So we have some, high voltage lights to do it anyway. So yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's no, I don't think at that convention center, it doesn't have like a retractable roof. It's not like,
no, not like the old Sky Dome, right?
Well, you should do a collab with some of the micro-LED guys that are trying to go to sort of a million nits or whatever for VR. So get a little combination.
Yeah, I'm up for some free samples of that lighting if anyone wants to offer it.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thanks so much, John. We actually have a couple questions for you here from the Peanut Gallery. A Zoom user asks, has this like sort of I think you said kinematic displays? Yes. Has this technology, to your knowledge, been integrated in any 2- or 3-wheeled vehicles?
I can't think of any specifically. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it has been, but that's a really interesting use case, right? Because the space in the vehicle, the volume of inside is reduced, right? So if you have a 2 or 3 seater, having that display recoil back into its original holding would be really something valuable. So I'm not aware of any, but I can see why that would be incredibly interesting application.
Yeah, definitely. And over on LinkedIn, we've got Chris Chinnock would like to know, are you seeing a lot of interest in, so we talked, about the displays and some really cool looking tech there. I'm excited to see it in person. But one of the things we've seen some folks talking about lately is returning to physical buttons and knobs for certain functionality, like changing the radio or messing with the air conditioner. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think that's really important, and I can probably go on a long rant about physical knobs and stuff. I love physical knobs. There's, I like tech, right? Like I said, I like my car to be, looks like the bridge of the Starship Enterprise, but I also like the physical buttons because, when I'm driving down the road and I've got to quickly look for the defogger button or something, right? It's not something that I want to look at the screen and try and figure out where to touch, and my fingers are dry, so I can't actually touch the make the touch screen. So you're more progressive or more forward thinking. Automotive OEMs are doing a hybrid of both, right? So you have these controls that are on the screen and they're touch screen, and that's great because it makes it easier to find the button you're looking for maybe, but when you're not otherwise considering driving. But also having the physical buttons, right? And we see this a lot. Like if you ever step into the cockpit of a modern airliner, right? You see that almost nothing is touchscreen, right? It's all physical buttons. And the reason is because they have to feel for the button while not looking for it, right? And so the same sort of thought process of how human beings try and work their way through problem solving, applies to driving a motor vehicle as well, right? If I'm driving down the 10 at 60 miles an hour, then I got to find that defog button real quick without having to take my eyes off the road. So yeah, a hybrid
Yeah,
way is
that's
the
that's a
way to
great
do it.
way to that's a great way to put it too. And a big part of it from a UX perspective, it's about predictability and
Yeah,
also statefulness. Like you need to know the state of those buttons as well,
yeah,
and it's not easy to know on a touch screen without physically just
yeah,
distracting yourself to look at it. And so,
yeah. Well, and
yeah,
that's
yeah,
this is a
totally.
really good point. I just want to bring up somebody put in the chat here as well about voice activated controls. And so voice activated can be used as well. I still don't think it's a replacement for physical buttons. It's another thing that you can use. The other one is we've done a lot of work on we'll call gaze and select. So if your eyes will point then to a point on the screen, and we have a small camera right on the dashboard, and then you can click a button and that will then select that menu item. So in more complex scenarios, that can be used as well, and it doesn't take your mind off of driving, nearly as much as trying to fiddle around with your hands. And I'm afraid, at least for me, voice activated controls. Again, I like the Star Trek. I like talking to computers. I like the idea of it. I don't like the actual implementation of it. And I think secretly a lot of us feel a little bit silly, but I know there's definitely a lot of people, and I do it too sometimes. That I'm happy to turn on defogger, right? Yeah,
Yeah, hey Siri.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Everyone's apartments and houses just lit up, right?
Yeah.
This actually, so talking about voice control though, I had a great example of this just this week where um, it was like 9 in the morning, and my phone starts ringing from a friend of mine who like has called. I see this guy like probably once a week, right? A good friend, but like we never talk on the phone. And so I'm like, oh shit, like what happened, right? He was trying to call Farouz. Instead, he called Phil because he said, hey, call Farouz, and it heard Phil. And so that gave me a mild heart attack at 9 a.m. I'm like, oh, this can't be a good phone call, right? No, he just Siri got the name wrong. Yeah, thanks so much, John. We got one more guest for y'all, and then we'll do our trivia giveaway at the end of the show here. So please welcome Eric. Eric, say hi to the nice people out there, and let them know who you are, and let's see what you got for us.
Well, thanks Phil for having us on the show, having me on the show. So I'm Eric. I'm an industry analyst, display industry analyst, with a company called Yole Group. And I'm going to show you in a second. Yep, sharing the screen here. All right. Can everybody see that?
It's still starting up. It says you've. Oh, there we go. We got it.
All right. Yeah. So it's always exciting and a bit intimidating to address a new community. So I hope I can keep everybody engaged. I'll start with a quick overview of our activities. So Yole Group, we don't manufacture or design anything. We're a technology market intelligence firm. We provide strategic market technology analysis, due diligence, M&A support, as well as teardown and reverse costing services. And I'll come back to that in a minute. We have now close to 200 collaborators, I think, in 8 different countries, customers ranging from large industrial companies, startup R&D organization, financial institutions, etc. We cover many industries. As I mentioned, my expertise today is mostly in displays, LEDs, photonics, but we also have a full team covering imaging in a broad sense of the term, which includes computer vision. We provide the annual reports that include technology, supply chain, competitive landscape analysis, as well, of course, as volume and revenue forecasts. But something that I think is quite unique is that we have a full team and lab dedicated to tearing down devices and doing that both at the system and component level. So, for example, we can open a smartphone, a camera, an automotive LiDAR modules. We photograph, identify, catalog every single component in a device. This goes into a searchable database with prices, suppliers, and we can precisely estimate the bill of material of the device. But we can also go a step further and do a deep analysis of a subcomponent. So say, for example, you're interested in a Face ID module in an iPhone or the processor or an image sensor. We can fully construct and analyze it at literally at the nanometer level. We analyze the nature and measure the thickness of every material, the number of photolithography steps. So we can infer the detailed manufacturing process, and from there we have detailed cost models that allow us to estimate the manufacturing cost of the component. So we're a consulting company, but with a clean room, and we can combine those teardown reverse costing capabilities with performance evaluations or knowledge of the market, and all that supports very informed decision making for our customers. This is an example of what a market and technology reports looks like. So of course, I took the example of our most recent computer vision report. For teardown, there are some pictures. They're coming from a variety of devices. They're not connected. So on a top left, you have an automotive heads-up display projection unit. In the center, this is a TV with a mini LED backlight. We can reconstruct the block diagram, and we provide actually interactive block diagrams. We can X-ray components. The next image is an electron microscope photography of the cross-section of an imaging sensor. And we can compare that with what we see, say, in patents, in the literature. And to the right is an example of a cost table for one manufacturing step. So for somebody like me who as a kid was tearing down every appliance in a house to see how they worked, this is literally a dream come true.
Yeah, I would like to apologize to my mom on the show here for many things, but specifically for tearing down many of our household items.
Yeah, it's fun. And of course, at the time, I didn't care much about the reverse coursing part, but my parents did for sure, yeah. Just some example of recent reports related to imaging, machine vision, and some example of reports covering the display space. So I will stop here with the shameless self-promotion, but I encourage you to check our website and reach out if you have any interest. So Display Week, I'm going to talk about micro-LED displays, and I'm going to assume that the bulk of your audience is not too familiar with that. So I'll start with a primer on what micro-LED displays are. Most of you are probably familiar with LCD displays. So in LCD, the light is generated by a backlight unit. It then goes through a matrix of tiny, individually controllable liquid crystal light valves that correspond to every subpixel in the image. And those light valves, they can block the light or let it go through pattern color filters to generate the 3 primary colors of the image. In OLEDs, which I'm sure many of you are familiar as well with, there is no backlight. Each subpixel itself is a tiny, individually controllable light source. And this is why OLEDs are often referred to as self-emissive displays. MicroLED displays, they're in a sense very similar to OLEDs in a sense that they're also self-emissive displays, except that the organic LED is replaced by a tiny inorganic MicroLED. And the challenge is that unlike OLEDs, which can be processed over very large areas, and we are talking many square meters, LEDs are built with more traditional semiconductor techniques on much smaller wafers ranging like from 4 to 12-inch maximum. So the art of making micro-LED display consists in singulating those micro-LEDs, and you can have hundreds of millions of them on a single wafer, and kind of spread them out and transfer them onto a larger, more rectangular shape substrate to make the display. So you can do that with either individual red, green, and blue LEDs, as shown here, or you can use blue LEDs only and combine that with a pattern quantum dot color conversion layer to make the red and green. If you have any questions about quantum dots, Jeff knows absolutely everything you've ever wanted to know, but never dared asking. So don't be shy, just ask. Go to the booth, the NanoSys Showy booth at Display Week, he'll be there. So being a self-emissive displays, and micro-LED retain all the benefits of OLEDs, but they could improve on many aspects, such as brightness, contrast, color, ruggedness, stability, viewing angle. I see I forgot that here. And you can also more easily include sensors in a panel. We talked about sensors in a context of automotive displays. You can also create displays of virtually any sizes by tiling smaller modules. And micro-LEDs are also very good at making transparent and stretchable displays. I have a couple of examples of that. I'm going to attempt to show a video I took a couple of weeks ago in Taiwan of a double-sided transparent display made by a company called AUO. So hope this is
Extremely
playing.
cool. Yes, it is.
So here, not only the display is transparent, but it can show two different contents on each side, which is
That's one I
pretty
haven't
neat.
seen before. I've seen like transparent, but it's just the same, you know, it's kind of mirrored, but being able to show two different things is wild. That's so cool.
Yeah, so two different contents, and as you can see, what you're seeing on one side is really not impacted by what's happening on the other side. So it's amazing. The question now is, what's the use case, of course? And I think this is a generic question with micro-LEDs. We have great technologies, but we need to kind of invent new use cases. We kind of have a hammer looking for the nail. To the right, I'm showing more examples of transparent displays. Top one's by AUO again. The bottom one is by Samsung. But I really encourage you to walk the show at Display Week, because I'm sure you're going to see many more of those. Moving on now to stretchable, and here I'm probably taking a chance in terms of bandwidth, because I'll be streaming them from YouTube. But if it's too slow, you have still images from those videos in the middle here. So this first one, if it plays, let me know how is it. Does that look smooth enough?
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay. So this one was demonstrated last year. They showed another version at CES this year. That's from Samsung. You can see the center of the display being stretched to raise that volcano, and then they're cycling back to a flat surface. I'm going to stop this one. And the bottom one, this one was demonstrated by LG. Unfortunately, I think they barely show the actual display at the beginning. Yeah, right here. After that, they're just showing more concept ideas of what you can do with foldable. And once again, that's the question. So stretchable might sound like a gimmick, but what it gives you is a freeform display conformable to any surface. So this allows you, for example, to make parts of the display pop or retract. You can combine that with touch and haptic feedbacks for an experience that's more akin to a physical button. So on the right, I'm showing two examples of possible applications in automotive displays, still by AO in Taiwan. So the one of the bottom is kind of a control console where the buttons, depending on the context of what you need, the proper buttons just literally pop up from the screen, and you have a touch function, and then they can retract or move depending on what you need.
Extremely neat.
I get. It's probably going to be there at Display Week. So if it is, sit in that concept car and give it a try. It's fun. So yeah, do we have the best display technology ever? So let's see. Can you buy a micro-LED TV? The answer is yes. For a very modest $115,000, you can have
is that
this,
all?
Yeah. Anytime. If you order one, could you order me a second one, please? I can use it.
Yeah, while you're getting one, hook me up too. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure they have discounts for if we get 5. So yeah, actually it's not $150,000 will get you that beautiful 114 inches. So that's pretty big. If it's too big for the kids' room, the 89-inch version is only 110K, I think. But if size really what matters to you, you can still get a pretty good LCD TV of the same size for about 10 times less. So sure, the micro-LED is probably better, but is it 10 times better? That's the question. Of course, that's kind of an unfair comparison because my micro-LED is a brand new technology and prices still have a lot of headroom to come down. The first OLED TV by LG, a little bit more than 10 years ago, I think it was 2013, was $15,000 for a 55-inch. Now you can buy that same TV for less than $1,000, so 15 times less. What about a smartwatch then? If you're familiar with the micro-LED industry, you might know that Apple essentially created this industry when it acquired a micro-LED startup called LuxView in 2014. It then spent 10 years and more than $3 billion developing this technology. We were all hoping for a micro-LED smartwatch in 2026 from Apple. Their partner Osram had just built a $1.4 billion 200 millimeter semiconductor micro-LED fab specifically for this purpose. But in February last year, Apple canceled the project. So are micro-LED smartwatches dead? Not yet. Apple was clearly very advanced on that project, but smartwatches are kind of the low-hanging fruit for consumer applications for micro-LEDs because they're small displays with a fairly modest total pixel count. So many display makers, as you can see, have been working on that, and they've shown many prototypes over the last 6-7 years. The most recent one that we saw at CES and more recently a couple of weeks ago in Taiwan start to look actually pretty good. And we are now hoping that AUO will start shipping some micro-LED smartwatch displays to Tag Heuer this year, possibly to Garmin as well later this year. So we can expect a commercial product as early as the end of this year. Those will probably be mostly high-end watches and low-volume devices, but it's a start for a consumer application. But that said, you've probably guessed by now, micro-LEDs are not easy to make. I'm certain that as you walk the expo floor at Display Week, you're going to see a lot of amazing micro-LED displays. But it's also likely that if you get a chance to look very closely at some of them, you're going to be able to spot some bad or missing pixels. And don't get me wrong, many of those displays look stunning. But for the most, we are not there yet, and more is needed before micro-LED is ready for high-volume consumer product. There are many reasons for that, including supply chain issues, lack of technology convergence, manufacturing yield issues, which all have an impact on cost. So just to put that in perspective, a standard micro-LED, as you can see on the top left here, can be anywhere between a couple of hundreds microns up to a millimeter in size. So that's the LED you have in your light bulb at home, for example. Below that is a mini LED, which are typically used for backlight units for LCD, some LCD TVs, tablets, or laptop. And that little speck that you can probably not even see at the bottom right is a micro LED. So this one is 15 by 30 micron. I'm going to zoom on it. So on the top, you still have the mini LED, and the thing on the bottom right is the micro LED. I'm going to
Not
zoom
kidding
again.
about the micro there.
Yeah, so this one is 15 by 30 micron, and I'm showing you what the footprint of a 5 by 5 micro LED would be, and they exist. By the way, all those pictures are courtesy of Enostar out of Taiwan. They're one of the leading LED companies, and obviously now taking a shot at micro LED as well. So here are some slightly larger, roughly 10 by 25 micron micro LEDs compared to a human hair. So again, trying to put that in perspective, using an example I've been using again and again, but making a micro LED TV, that means singulating, transferring, and connecting 25 million micro LEDs that are the size of a bacteria, and doing so with a plus minus 1 or 2 micron placement accuracy without a single defect, no dead pixel allowed, and ideally do so in less than 10 minutes. And amazingly, the industry has made some great strides toward that goal, but we are not there yet. So in order to achieve strong performance differentiation at costs that are similar to that of OLEDs, some breakthrough or at least significant advances are still required. So we've identified like 4 major technology thrust areas and 4 equipment and manufacturing infrastructure bottleneck. And this will be the topic. This is what I'm planning to discuss during my talk at Display Week. So this was basically a long teaser. Stay tuned. If this is a topic you're curious about, I'm sure there will be, again, many amazing demos on the exhibition floor. And if you want to dig deeper, I looked at the detailed program and I counted more than 50 micro LED related talks between the technical symposium and the exhibitors forum. As far as I'm concerned, I will be moderating that panel discussion Jeff mentioned earlier, panel discussion on micro LED with a leading industry executive, and that will be on Tuesday in the center stage. And I will be giving that more technical talk I was teasing on Thursday at the technical symposium. So that's it for me. Again, thanks, Phil, for the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. That was great. I'm really excited to see some of this tech in person. We got a couple questions for you here from the audience on Zoom. Tiano would like to know what's the highest resolution display you've seen with micro LED so far?
I've seen up to 8K. You have to separate like resolution and pixel density, because you're making a large resolution display is not a problem, because with micro LED you can tile as many small modules as you want, so you can almost go to infinity and create those gigantic video walls. In terms of pixel densities, so if you want to approach the pixel density of a smartwatch, smartphone, so we've seen demos of smartwatch up to typically 320 pixel per inch. But for AR, which I didn't cover at all today, for augmented reality applications, you need those micro displays that are literally the size of a grain of rice and can still get to a full HD or even 2K resolution. So here you're talking about micro LEDs that are going to be about 1 micron, if not less, in size.
And what, 6,000 PPI or something like that, right, Eric? I mean, something crazy.
Yes, yeah. We've seen proof of concept of up to 10,000 pixel per inch.
Wow, that's extremely high density, like especially compared to what we have today. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now is a good time, I think, to do our giveaway here. So if you're joining us for the first time, or if you just need a reminder, one of the things we do on this show is a giveaway to you in the audience. I'm going to ask a trivia question based on today's presentation, and the very first person to answer that trivia question in the Zoom chat with their messages set to everyone, not just hosts and panelists, this is important, will win either the OpenCV University course of their choosing, or a free exhibit hall pass to the exhibition hall for Display Week. The exhibit hall is open the 13, 14, 15. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yep. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 14,
Got
15.
it.
Yeah, 13, 14, 15. Yeah.
Fantastic. And you're going to see a bunch of the cool stuff we talked about here today. So if you're in the Bay Area, I would choose the exhibit hall pass. So get ready to answer. And as a reminder, folks, if you've won in the last couple of months, don't answer and give someone else a chance to win here in the Zoom chat. We're looking at you, trivia sharks out there. So OpenCV's first ever conference is this May 12th. It's called the OpenCV SID Conference on Computer Vision and AI. It's being hosted in conjunction with Display Week in San Jose, California. SID is the Society for Information Display. In what year was SID founded? What year was the Society for Information Display founded? Answer in the chat, folks. Ooh, I might have stumped him here today. We did cover it. Jeff mentioned it. I promise.
Did say.
Sometimes
Yep.
oh, there we go. Garima Singh got us. The answer we were looking for there was 1962. Congratulations, Garima. Please send one email to me. That's phil@opencv.org, and we will make sure that you get either your free OpenCV course. You can see what courses are on offer by going to opencv.org/university. Bunch of good stuff on there. Industrial strength courses from folks in the industry. And pick a course. Tell me which one you want. Or opt for the free pass to the exhibition hall. Now is also a great time. I'm going to remind you all that OpenCV is a nonprofit organization that operates a computer vision library that is open source under the permissive Apache 2 license. That means we need your support. You can donate to OpenCV directly as an individual by Stripe or by PayPal. If your company does matching donations through systems like Benevity, you can give us a couple of bucks and tell your boss about it, and then we get twice as much money. It's a pretty sweet system. Also, if you do work for OpenCV, like submit some pull requests or work on some bugs in the overflowing catalog of our GitHub, you can tell your boss about that as well, and very likely they will match your effort in cash. So if your company uses Benevity, please check it out. It helps us out a whole lot and helps make sure that we can keep making OpenCV everybody's favorite computer vision library. You can also become a member organization if your company relies on OpenCV. We have 3 tiers of membership here. We've got bronze, silver, and gold. These were created to appeal to companies of different sizes and different abilities to give back. There are many perks to being an OpenCV member, such as appearances on this very webinar, the ability to add stuff to the OpenCV newsletter, which goes out to over 300,000 people every single week. And appearing here on OpenCV Live for the 200 or so peak live viewers we get every single Thursday morning. You can also sponsor us on GitHub. I want to give a quick shout out to all of our GitHub sponsors. We got 15 of y'all here as of today. Shout out to Lo or IO, I'm not sure. Live Peer, the world's open video infrastructure. Never heard of them until they became an OpenCV sponsor on GitHub. DJ Greenwood, Redis Laboratories, Tala Hussein, the homies at RoboFlow, Brian Jensen, Alexander Ismailov, Comet ML, Jonas Heinle, Nick Libertini, Blue Jay, Jesus Anaya, Alexandra Pomeroux, and Victor Veravato. Thanks so much for your support over on GitHub. You can join us on GitHub by going to github.com/sponsors/OpenCV. It's $9 a month, and it makes a huge difference. You can also buy OpenCV merch. We've got an official merchandise store, 20% off everything right now, including the iconic Import CV2 command. It's all you really need for computer vision joy. You can also get the OpenCV logo on shirts, on pins, on tote bags. You can get a little pet bandana for your dog, cat, or small child. You can also get the I Love OpenCV logo in English, simplified Chinese, and en Espanol. I'm wearing one right now. I'll kill our feeds real quick so I can tag the product. YouTube loves it when you do that. Yeah, looks like this. Yo amo OpenCV. If you amo OpenCV, you can buy one of these. OpenCV.myspreadshop.com. Thanks so much for joining us today, guests Jeff, Eric, John. It was a really fun episode. I learned something, and that's always a good sign on this show. And it was a lot of fun. I think the audience really enjoyed it as well. Looking forward to seeing y'all in person in just like what, 11
2 weeks.
days, something like
Yeah.
that. Like, geez,
Don't
yeah,
tell
it's
me
getting-
even. Yeah.
Jeff and I just both start flop sweating, like, oh my
Yeah.
God, is it really that close? Yes, thanks so much out there for watching, everybody. We could not do this show without you. Take care of yourselves out there. We'll be back next Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel, with our old friend Paula Ramos, who will be bringing some folks over from Voxel 51 and talking about probably I think about the competition they're running at CVPR this year. So join us 9 a.m. Pacific time. Take care of yourselves out there. Take care of somebody else if you can, and have a great day wherever you may be. Adios.